In American Pachuco, the legend of Luis Valdez, against political resistance and industry skepticism, Luis Valdez pushes Chicano storytelling from the fields to the film screen with Zoot Suit and Bamba, crafting iconic works that challenge, celebrate, and expand America's story. American Pachuco, the legend of Luis Valdez, is directed by David Alvarado, and he has previously directed films such as Bill Nye Science Guy and Blood Sugar Rising. And American Pachuco, the legend of Luis Valdez, just debuted at the 2026 Sundance Film Festival. American Pachuco, the legend of Luis Valdez, won the Audience Award at the 2026 Sundance Film Festival, and it was really a film that was a bit of a surprise to me, because it was not really a film that was on my radar during the festival. So to see it pick up some awards, it was a quite surprise. And now that I've actually seen the documentary, I can see why, because it's very entertaining, thought-provoking, and it really captures the Mexican experience during the 50s, 60s, 70s in America, and what they had to do with, and how the American culture and Mexican culture mix, and Mexican Americans who were born in America, how they have to deal with growing up. Even though they're Americans, they have to deal with the cultural identity. So this film really captures that very well, and not only just captures that Mexican-American experience in the film, but also it chronicles the director, Luis Valdez, his entire career, him starting out as the son. He has 10 siblings, and he's the son of parents who worked in Mexican immigrants who worked in the field, the fruit fields, picking fruit, and grew up very poor. And once he grew up to be a little bit older, he went to a school near the fruit fields where his parents worked, and he got a knack for acting because he got cast in a stage play. So he got a knack for that theatre experience. And when he got older, him and his older brother were kind of like the intellectuals in the family, the intellectual older brothers. And his brother went on to study engineering and work for NASA, while he went on to study theatre and create his own amateur theatre. And throughout the 60s and early 70s, Luis Valdez, he toured his amateur theatre. He helped the fruit workers, the Mexican fruit workers, who were basically the foundry of fruit, all the fruit fields in America. They were the backbone of these fields. So, but they weren't treated very well. So they had to do a lot of marching and protesting. And Luis Valdez theatre company were very vital to getting people to join that movement, and really successful in getting union agreements with the workers. And then later in the 70s, when America was very knee-deep in the Vietnam War, Luis Valdez would incorporate very topical subjects like the Vietnam War into his theatre projects, and even started doing international tours with his amateur theatre, going to countries like France. And the film also goes all the way to the late 70s, when he had a big success with his amateur theatre play called Zoot Suit, which was then finally brought to Broadway. But then when it went to Broadway, the critics were not very kind to the film. So that was a bit of even though it was the play Zoot Suit was a major success, and the film version was a success, the white critics were not very kind to that film at the time. And the final 20 minutes of the film is mostly about Luis Valdez's 1987 film La Bamba, and how that's still the most successful Latino film ever, and it really cemented the director Luis Valdez's career, and how the Cine Richie Valens, his death was, his career is pretty much symbolized by his death, and how the film La Bamba was able to bring his music and his life into the limelight throughout American culture, and really give his family and Richie Valens' parents some closure. What this film does really well is, even though I'm not Latino, I'm not Mexican, it really captures that experience. It really captures that fusion between American identity and Mexican identity, and they're able to portray to us an outsider like me, a viewer like me, who they're able to very successfully show that experience, what it was like growing up in America being of like a dark skin and different culture and the racism and prejudice against that. And also we get to see the difference between the director Luis Valdez's career and his brother, older brother, who always like tried to hide his identity as he grew up, as his career was burgeoning, and how they managed to identify, they managed to meet together and talk about their struggles in life and how their lives changed. While Luis Valdez always embraced his culture, and while his brother tried to hide it, and how it was detrimental to him. I give American Pachuco, The Legend of Luis Valdez, 4 stars out of 5. A very entertaining, interesting, raises a lot of themes, and a very interesting history lesson on the culture mixture of American and Mexican culture, and how American Mexicans grew up in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. So, and really captures the director Luis Valdez's career and how he really brought the Latino and Mexican people on the screen, on the stage, and had someone as Mexican Americans, that someone they can recognize and they can relate to on screen and on stage. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting documentary. I highly recommend checking out American Pachuco, The Legend of Luis Valdez. Thanks for watching. What did you think of American Pachuco? Please comment below what you thought of the film. See you next time. Bye.